And I was just tired. I was tired of, trying to make a living just through my product-based business, as much as I enjoy it.
Lot of the artists that I speak to, their the picture that they have in their mind is when they're launching a course, they're like, okay, I'm gonna put all of this time, money, and energy, and months into creating a course that I really like to teach, right? And then I'm gonna put it out there and I'm gonna launch it, and then no matter the results of the first launch, especially if things don't go their way, then they're like, okay, I need to move on and like create another course and then another course. So that's the cycle they keep themselves in, and no wonder people are burnt out and exhausted already. So let's sort of like unpack that a little bit. My friend, I'm Trupti, and today I am joined by the gorgeous Moneeza Khan, who is a bookbinder, and she teaches bookbinding and she sells these beautiful one of a kind journals that are all hand bound by her in her beautiful studio. I can't stop saying gorgeous and beautiful about her. Moneeza, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for having me, Trupti. It's always a pleasure to speak to you.
I am so excited to talk to you about how you got your latest bookbinding course out into the world when you started working with me one on one and everything that happened before that, during that, and after that. Okay. So let's rewind a little bit. But before we do that, what is it that you do and how do you serve your audience with your online courses?
Well, I am a book artist or a bookbinder who also likes to dabble in art, and I like to incorporate the two into everything that I create. So I've been running a product-based business, creating things by hand for the past 15 years and around 11 years online. And I was just tired. I was tired of, trying to make a living just through my product-based business, as much as I enjoy it. So the online education side of it kind of started in 2022 when I first created a course based on a particular style of book that I used to make but no longer make. And a lot of people asked me if I would consider teaching it. So I thought, okay, how hard can this be? And I created the course and put it out there. And then people were asking me to share more about bookbinding the way I do it and what I know about bookbinding being self-taught. So after a lot of consideration, I thought, okay, I want to do this. I really can see myself doing it, but I didn't know where to begin. It just felt like this huge mammoth task that felt too overwhelming for me to sort of, tackle on my own. But I now have two courses. Well, the second course that I'm working on is nearly complete, and I opened it up for founding students to join last year. And it's been really good to have had their support whilst I've been developing the course.
That sounds great. And actually, that is exactly what we want to happen when we're putting a new course out there, because a lot of the artists that I speak to, their the picture that they have in their mind is when they're launching a course, they're like, okay, I'm gonna put all of this time, money, and energy, and months into creating a course that I really like to teach, right? And then I'm gonna put it out there and I'm gonna launch it, and then no matter the results of the first launch, especially if things don't go their way, then they're like, okay, I need to move on and like create another course and then another course. So that's the cycle they keep themselves in, and no wonder people are burnt out and exhausted already. So tell me something. When did you first start thinking that working with me one on one might be the right fit for you?
I think it was after our first conversation. I just finished the pre-orders for my storyteller collection, which is a collection of journals that I make once a year, and they're all made by hand on pre-order only. And I always end up feeling like, okay, I'm done. I can never make another book after this, you know? And I was so burnt out, and I was thinking, there's got to be a better way for me to have, you know, these ebbs and flows within my business without me feeling I just need to constantly be creating by hand to be able to make money to survive as a creative entrepreneur. And it was killing me, literally, because, you know, living with a chronic illness as well. I needed that diversity within my business, because just the physicality of bookbinding can get quite hard on your body when you're working on so many books at once. You know, if you're just doing it as a hobby and you're making one or two here or there, it's fine. But if you're making hundreds of journals, it's just not sustainable to do it all on your own. I had already had my first course out there, and you know, it was doing really well. But I knew that I wanted to create this second course. However, I was not sure how does one balance a product-based business and creating a course at the same time, and doing it, you know, in a way that literally doesn't make you want to stop doing what you're doing, you know, being self-employed as well. And I remember you talking about incorporating these two elements of your business, the product side of your base business, your coaching and your teaching and all of that, and how you were managing it, and looking at it from a more sort of holistic spiritual point of view, and that lens. And I really liked that approach that you had, as well as the whole, you know, manifestation side of it, more from a not from a, you know, completely woo woo angle, but a more of a practical approach to manifestation, which I really liked. Because whenever I've heard you talk about manifestation, it's made sense to me, and it's not like, oh yeah, it's all right for you to say that, Tripti, you know, it works for you. But no, I could actually relate to it, because it made sense, and it made sense to use it as part of how I wanted to change things in my business as well. It wasn't just, you know, like airy fairy woo woo kind of manifestation. It was practical tips that you were giving just through your Instagram stories that I really liked. And I thought, I think I'm going to give her a call and see if she can help me with this course creation, or just get me to kind of feel like I can even do it. Because at that stage, I was just thinking, there is not a hope in hell that I can pull this off, Moneeza. And I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I just kept this negative talk that, you know, no, there's no way you can do this. You're, you know, who do you think you are? You're just a self-taught bookbinder. That's, yeah, okay, you've made a few nice books, and, you know, now you're going to teach everybody how to make them. You know, so I had this self chatter going on that was quite negative, because people were telling me that I could do it and they wanted me to teach them. And I was just like, I know I want to, but I don't know how.
Okay, so you were going through all of that and you had all of these terrible, awful voices of the inner critic saying all of these things to stop you from, moving out of your comfort zone into doing this like brand new thing, into creating your signature course. But I love what you said but deep down, you knew the true voice of yours, the voice of intuition was like, no, we can do this. This is what I'm meant to do. And I think everybody, the artists and the creatives who are listening to this can relate to that, because otherwise nobody would be even interested in wanting to launch a course, right? Or doing all of these scary new things, because when you really dig into yourself and like move all of that fog of self-doubt and imposter syndrome and fear and resistance and all of these things, you know deep down that you are feeling called to do this. Like there's a community that's asking you to do it, and you know deep down that you're tenacious and you are eventually going to step up and serve your people in the way that they're asking. You said that you had all of this resistance about, I don't really want to launch my course the way that I see all of these other course creators and educators, the things that they're doing, all the things that they're doing on Instagram, being extra visible and things like that. You knew that was not your style, and that's what was sort of also holding you back. So, what was the tipping point where you realized that, okay, I need to reach out to Trupti and I need to like move beyond this, and she's going to help me find out a way that works for me?
Well, I just wasn't sure how to begin, to be honest. I had this idea of a founding student launch, but then that just terrified me. And I thought, what, take people's money and not have a cost? How can I do that? And I remember you said to me, but Moneeza, you're already doing that with your pre-orders for your storyteller collection. I remember you said that, and I was like, oh yeah, that's true. But then I thought, okay, but that's because I know the storyteller collection inside out. I could do it with my eyes closed. I could create it with my eyes closed. That's how skilled I've become at it. And I know that, okay, this is what I need to do, blah, 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 month end, and that's it, it's done. But with this course, I was going into it blind. And then I was thinking, well, I can't take money off people and don't even know what I'm doing just yet. But I had an idea. And you said, okay, look, we'll structure it like this. But what I liked about the way with working with you was that you gave me actionable steps, like day by day. You said, right, okay, go do this. Okay, you've done that. Okay, now go do this. So rather than me just sitting there and you telling me, okay, well, this is how you could do it, and this is, and giving me a little pat on my back, you actually told me off, like no. So that was good because I needed somebody to tell me off when I was just sort of having a little whinge about feeling sorry for myself. So that was good. I needed somebody to do that because otherwise I would have never got it done, to be honest. And I think the tipping point was, where you did say to me, well, you're already doing that. You're taking people's money when you're taking pre-orders. Think of this as a pre-order. They're pre-ordering your course. Then they pay you. Then you have the money so that you don't have to be working in your product-based business and thinking about how am I going to make money to live while I'm creating the course, who's going to make the products, and so there's all of that. And I just thought, there's no way I can do this. But um, I think a founding student launch or a founding member launch, if it's for a membership, would would really work for those who are willing to put in the work and have um, a general idea of what it is that they want to offer. Obviously, first you need to know what it is that you're going to offer, and secondly, you need to have a general idea of what the curriculum is of your course. And then the structure can get refined as you create it. So I'm kind of like on the last two chapters of my course. And I know that once it's all finished, I'll be going through the whole thing with the founding students and looking at, where we can maybe refine some things before I then actually launch it to the general public. But the founding launch was obviously at a lower price, and I wouldn't have thought of that had it not been, uh,
Mhm.
coaching with you, because you told me, okay, you get it opened up with just a basic slideshow, and I remember spending like 3 days on this slideshow. And you were like, no, Moneeza, it's taking too long. It should only take you a day, not even a day, just an hour. I'm like, I can't do that in an hour. It has to look pretty as well. And you're like, no, just get it done. So yeah, I had to get over a lot of these. I have this tendency to faff around with graphics, and then a whole day will go by and I still haven't got things finished. So I'm learning to manage decision making a lot better as well, having done this.
So let's look at your numbers. So the numbers that you gave me, and this is just a testament of what happens when you find out an aligned way to launch, to do a founder's launch, and then to create a community where you can create a course with them. So before you even created this course with just an idea, just a bunch of emails and doing one private live, not a public Instagram live, and being sat eating cheesecake, your
Yeah.
numbers that you gave me were 58 founding students at $565, and that amounted to $32,828.
58 students.
58 founding students at that price, at the $565. Is
Wow.
Yeah.
450 was the first launch, and I had 58 students, so that came to £26,100.
Mhm.
And then I had
Nine.
650, 9 people joined at
Yeah.
650, and that was 5,850.
So
So
it was
around
roughly
£32,000. So I guess in dollars, yeah,
Yes. So when you consider that with that sweet, sweet exchange rate, you
yeah.
actually have 67 founders
Hmm.
having made $40,190.
Yeah, it's been
So
incredible, to be honest. I mean, to have generated that kind of income in my product-based business, that would have been a lot of product.
it's really interesting because I was going through your intake form that you had initially filled before your very first call with me. And one of the things that you had, when I asked you, what is the one thing that I can specifically help you with? You were like, Trupti, just tell me, how can I use my skills to make money without killing myself? And then you went on to say, I know how to make lots of money, but not without ease. And I think this was like a huge belief that was standing in your way, right?
Yeah.
You said, I've been suffering from burnout since 2018. I'd just love to know how you personally dealt with burnout.
Hmm. I know, because I mean, making lots of money, it's actually not that difficult if you're willing to hustle and grind and work yourself to the bone. You can do it.
Yeah.
But I'm not interested in that. I never have been. And I kind of got into this loop of being create just things that I was doing in my business were being done in the wrong way. As far as I'm concerned, I wasn't doing them with any kind of strategy. It was just like, okay, it's the 15th of the month, so I need to sell something, and now I have to make some money. So that's how it kind of started. And I never really went into it with this business mind that this is how much I need to make to this is how many books I need to make this much money. I think if I went into every aspect of my creative business thinking about numbers, it would take away a lot of the joy from my work. And the education side of it was mainly uh, to help me sustain my creativity, because I was feeling so burnt out from just churning out the same. I kind of went back to what I was doing before, when I used to be on Etsy, when I used to be working with in the wedding industry. I was making wedding albums and wedding guest books. And then COVID happened, and then there was no weddings. So that's when I shifted my focus from weddings to creating more journals for writers and art, like the artist community. And that's when I really kind of went into being more creative and understanding what it is that I really wanted to do with my life as a creative, as a bookbinder, as an artist, as a business owner. So the education side of it is, I'm hoping that that'll be something that'll help me earn the money to keep me going, so that I can focus on what it is I really want to do, which is making one of a kind collections. I just want time, like an artist, to sit there and paint. You would want to paint a landscape, go out to the Rocky Mountains and paint a landscape. And, I just want that time with me and my materials without thinking about earning money from it.
Let me stop you there for a minute because two things that came to my mind is when you said once COVID happened and the wedding industry stopped, you started doing journals for writers and artists, but you were repeating the same patterns, right? Like getting a lot of pre-orders and then like completely crashing even though it was like a very successful launch, and this is the stuff that a lot of creatives dream of, right? Like, wow, I want to sell out, or I want to get a huge number of pre-orders. But when it's something that's like so physically intensive, like binding journals, I wanted to point that out because the belief that you had written that, I know how to make lots of money, but not without ease. And
Mm,
that is a great illustration of how your subconscious beliefs will manifest no matter how
mm,
much you pivot and how many different things that you do. Which is why when we do the one on one work with my clients, it's not just about the strategies. We always start with addressing all of the beliefs that are stored in the subconscious mind
mm.
because it's not about trying the different things, but it's about doing the different things while being a different identity at your deep subconscious level.
It's just something that we're kind of wired to think that, oh, if it's not hard, it's not worth doing. Or if it's not, if you haven't, totally drained yourself to earn that money, it's not money you've earned well. Or, it, can come with ease. It can
Yeah.
come, and any money that comes into my life now will come with ease.
Yeah. Actually,
Yeah,
these
that's the new mantra. That's the new mantra. And also remember, my tea bag said we can always start again.
and
So
that's the whole point of a course too, because a lot of artists think that, oh my God, I'm gonna have to like kill myself and like just create the most perfect version of it. And I got into that when I was creating my manifestation course, let me just say. And then I just had to keep reminding myself that the first version of the course that you ever create, it's never going to be perfect. Just
yeah.
like the first couple of podcast episodes that you put out, or the first bunch of like YouTube videos that you put out, they're not going to be perfect. I mean, the whole point is to improve and grow so much that you should be looking back at your work and kind of cringing a little bit, like, ew, like,
Oh yeah,
that
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So, having shared your entire story, I just have to say that it has been astounding to watch you shed your old identity about, I know how to make money, but I don't think I can make it with ease. Like I have to like work really, really hard for this. And then to see you shift your beliefs right in front of my eyes, right? And I remember when you were talking about the numbers, and I remember telling you, I was going through a conversation. I was like, what if you just let go of any attachment to numbers? What if it doesn't
Mm.
have to be 10 or 20 and you just opened your heart for as many people to come through as it's natural, like a natural flow to happen right now, just like a river just that's just flowing? What would happen if you just allowed to do that and then you were sort of like going through it and sharing wins after wins, and I was seeing your identity shift like in just 3 short months, and it's been incredible also to see you sort of like step into your own power and own the fact that you get to call the shots in your business and face so many changes in your life over the last 1.5 years with such grace. Like none of these things have been easy. And then to still show up for your community and to nurture them and to do things your way, you finally gave yourself permission to do things your way, which doesn't match other sort of like high powered, high energy creatives. And that has been so awesome to witness and to cheer you on and to support you through all of this stuff. So, there are artists who might be thinking about like wanting to work with me now one on one. So, why would you recommend any artist or creative to work, especially one on one with us?
I would recommend, working with a coach, especially like yourself, because you showed me how to take it one step at a time and starting in a really simple way and reminding me that I could do it in a simple way. I can get fancy later, you know. And I think hiring a coach also, what you did was you gave me the push that I needed to get out of my comfort zone, and not just giving me, a little pat on the back saying, job well done. You actually gave me actionable steps to stop self-sabotaging myself and actually take the steps that I needed to take to move forward and actually get the course off the ground, so to speak. Um, and I think it's always good to have, someone that has walked that path as well, knowing what you're going to encounter. So there were things that I didn't maybe see coming that you could have said, okay, Moneeza, so this could potentially happen, and this is how you know, can kind of overcome that. So I think it's, having a coach like yourself was, well, it's just invaluable, isn't it, really? Because you can't really, and also, I mean, whatever I invested in coaching with you, I made that back tenfold, so within 24 hours. So yeah, I think it was an investment that was really worth it. And also, you're just, I enjoy talking to you. So, because it's easy to talk to you, I'm not thinking, oh, I'm not going to get my answers or what I need out of you. So
Perfect.
that's,
Thank you.
I answered your question, did I?
You did, and in a very touching and beautiful way. And I'm really, really grateful for such glowing words. Thank you so much, Moneeza, for taking the time and for staying so late and sharing your beautiful story with us.
Thank you. I'll speak to you soon. Bye.